I keep asking myself the same bloody question every time I boot up a new RPG. Why were the old school RPGs just better? Let's roll back the clock a bit and see why that golden era is so different. The year? 1998. I was a young lad, still growing into my oversized school blazer, and absolutely unaware I was about to live through what I now consider the greatest decade of gaming. Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Arm, my first ever RPGs, and back then installing the bloody thing meant juggling 6 separate discs. Some of you are probably laughing already, and yeah, you should be. It definitely wasn't a game designed for clueless kids. Brutal difficulty, clunky UI, no tutorial worth mentioning, and half the time you hadn't a clue where you were going. It didn't hold your hand, it slapped it away. But I was hooked, even if I was terrible at it. Then came the moment that truly lit the fire. Picture it. Blockbuster, a Friday evening, the smell of plasticky cases and microwave popcorn. I picked up a game purely because it said Star Wars on the cover. Knights of the Old Republic. That was it. That was the game that changed everything. Proper role-playing, building your character, making your choices. I was completely drawn in. And naturally, the next stop for me was Morrowind. And like Baldur's Gate, yeah, I sucked. Died to Quama Foragers repeatedly, but I did stick with it. Became the Nerevarine, and I still go back to it today. From there, it was Neverwinter Nights, the utterly charming Fable, and eventually, Oblivion. Now, I can't tell you exactly how many hours I sunk into Oblivion, but let's just say 20,000 plus. That would not be an exaggeration. Mods, fan-made expansions, custom armors, you name it. I probably broke my game installing it multiple times, but hell, it was fun. Those were the golden years of RPGs, and in my opinion, it ended with Skyrim, and for a long time it did feel like RPGs started to slip away. Sure, we got gems, Witcher 3, Fallout 4, the rest, but they were rare in a sea of soulless open world checklists and forgettable side quests. Real, meaty, story-driven RPGs did start to vanish. Then, something happened. It's 2025 now, and I'm still playing the classics, still modding Skyrim, and I'm still refusing to let go of that era. But, in 2023, something big landed on our screens. Baldur's Gate 3. Made by Larian Studios, and for the first time in years, I started asking myself a different question. Did Larian save the fate of RPGs? Because now we've got Tainted Grail, Avowed, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Which, side note, the first one was also brilliant. So here is the real question. Did Baldur's Gate 3 just bring us back to that old school magic? And more importantly, did it save RPGs? Let's find out. Alright, so before we even set foot on the Mind Flayer ship, I had to make the choice. You know, the one where every RPG player either spends 2 minutes or 2 hours agonising over. Character creation. I went in knowing I wanted to try something a little bit different. Something that wasn't just fighter with a sword or wizard with a fireball addiction. So I landed on this slightly cursed but incredibly fun combo. The Half-High Elf Twilight Cleric, with plans to eventually dual cast into a Bladesinger. Now, side note, the Twilight Cleric is a modded class. You can get that from the Nexus, and the link will be down in the description. But now, let me break it down, because if you're not deep into D&D, probably sounds like a fantasy salad. So, why Half-Elf? Well, Half-Elves are always a solid pick in D&D, and Baldur's Gate 3 reflects that really well. You can get some skill proficiencies thanks to the High Elf bloodline, and you also get a bonus wizard cantrip right out of the gate. And listen, if you're going to give me a free fireball or a minor illusion, I'm taking it. no questions asked. Personally, I'm taking Booming Blade because, yeah, that's amazing spell. It's probably the best cantrip in the game. So Twilight Cleric isn't your typical healer. This subclass is all about vision, protection, and insane survivability, even in the earliest parts of the game. You get stuff like the Channel Divinity Twilight Sanctuary at level 2, and you can pop this ability, and everyone within 30 feet starts to get temporary HP every round. It is honestly busted, but in the best possible way. I figured if I'm going to be wading through the Underdark horrors, vampire spawns, and who knows what else, I want some power of the moon and stars backing me up. And of course, this is Baldur's Gate 3. I also knew I wouldn't just be a Twilight Cleric forever. So here's where the spicy part comes in. I wanted to eventually dual cast into a Bladesinger wizard. Why? Because I'm a menace to balanced party composition. But seriously, think about it. Bladesinger is an intelligence-based class, meaning you can fling spells. You also get melee-based fighting, extra attack, blade song for AC boosts, and it also lets you cast spells and swing swords in the same turn. It is the ultimate gish. Pair that with the resilience and utility of a cleric. That is a frontline support character with healing, damage, buffs, crowd control, and also good looks. Basically a magical Swiss Army knife. It's definitely not the most optimized route. I know, multi-class purists out there are sharpening their pitchforks, but it is flavorful, and as someone who was just playing through for the first time in years, it's kind of what I wanted to do, and I'm probably going to change class later down the line. And that's the kind of character Baldur's Gate 3 encourages. Not perfect, but personal. And now we can talk about how good character creation looks in this game. From the lighting to the animations of the character and just even the background, the backdrop, it's clear Larian wanted you to feel invested. This isn't just a pick a race and move on, this is who are you? What drives your character? What's your background? So for me, I am a Twilight Cleric, and also went for the Dark Urge. It kind of made it easier for me to imagine that this is someone who might have had a dark history, who doesn't remember it, but is trying now to usher in the side of the light and be a good person. Maybe that's who they truly were. But maybe their darker secrets will come out in due time. And this is one of the first ways Baldur's Gate 3 really does sell you on the idea that your build isn't just stats, it is the story. This character isn't just a high half-elf with a few healing spells. She's a Twilight priest trying to navigate the world that's literally falling apart around her. A person who thought her path was written in the stars until a mind flare came and rewrote it with tentacles and tadpoles. So yeah, character creation. So, we wake up in a floating bio-horror spaceship with a mind flare parasite crawling around in our skull. Classic RPG intro, right? But seriously, Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't do hand-holding. It throws you right into the chaos from the second you open your eyes. And that's what I love about this opening. It's visceral, it's weird, and it's so Larian. So I wake up, dazed, confused, inside of a freaking meat pod. There's this alien parasite doing the wiggly dance in my eye, and before I even get a chance to scream, a mind flare just strolls in like it owns the place. Not exactly the cozy campfire intro I was expecting. Yeah. As I crawl out of the pod, everything's gross. The floor squishes, the walls pulse, there are brains in jars and weird stone tablets that talk to you. And like any responsible Twilight Cleric, I immediately try to help one of the brains escape. Turns out it's not a brain, it's a freaking intellect devourer. Oops. But hey, it's my brain buddy now, so I just let it tag along like a horrible psychic chihuahua. Right off that, I meet Lizelle, who wastes zero time trying to kill me until our little mind flare thing gets in the way, and then she's yelling at me yet again to escape this bloody place. Charming. Still, she's got a sword, I don't, and there are demons attacking the ship, so yeah, she's coming with me. The game doesn't exactly give you a tutorial screen. Instead, it's like, you want to learn how to jump? Cool. Miss. And die. Curious what this console does? Hope you saved. Another room gives you your first taste of combat, with 3 imps just eating corpses. Yeah. Obviously, at that note, I have my little brain devourer thing go and kill one of them, while Lysel goes and then stabs the other one, and then knock the other one out. However, it makes a saving throw. We then end the turn, it misses a firebolt on Lysel, and then Lysel swiftly takes it out, winning our first combat encounter of the game. Pretty easy. So as we push deeper into the ship, we then find Shadowheart. She's locked inside of a pod, and we need to find a way to break her out. As we're going around looting the room, another little mind devour brain thing walks in. And at this point, I'm just like, screw this. And I yeet a massive shining bolt at it, killing it outright. We then go into the room it just came out of. We find a key. We walk down and find another dead body. And then pick all of the stuff up, looting, and finding this weird Eldritch runestone. Turns out that was the key to freeing Shadowheart. We go off and go and get Shadowheart out of her little pod. There was a moment in me when I first played this for the first time after the patch updated where I thought doing so would actually turn Shadowheart into a Mind Flare, but obviously not. But that was back in early access, I thought that. I've come a long way since then. So as we push deeper into the ship, and finally, there he is, Commander Zulk, the giant flaming devil dude, hacking through mind flares like they just insulted his mum. At first, I think, let's avoid this combat encounter entirely, but then I see it. The Everburn blade. It's glowing. It's begging to be stolen. And I'm a cleric, but also kind of a loot goblin. So here's what I do. Switch to Shadowheart, open with a cheeky command, drop, and it actually lands. He drops a blade mid-combat, Lysel grabs it like a boss, and suddenly she's got a legendary weapon within 5 minutes into the game. Perfect. But that high didn't really last that long. See, as we're going through, pummeling down Zulk as much as we can, dropping nautiloid canisters around, we then try to finish him off. Yes, well, the Mind Flare, yes, the one who kidnapped us, decides now's the time to be helpful and swings in, killing Zulk. How many times have you guys played through BG3 and the Mind Flares actually landed a 21 hit? Every time I've played it, it's always been like 15 or 17. Which means basically no experience for us. And yeah, we get the loot satisfaction, but we also get no experience. So I do feel a tad bit of rage. So I do what any vengeful cleric would do. I move the explosive nautiloid canisters over to where the Mind Flare is, and then I'm like, okay, if I can't have the experience, no one can. I toss a fireball at one of the nautiloid canisters nearby, and boom, I light it up. The whole room explodes. The Mind Flare goes up in flames along with some of the Cambions. They don't die, unfortunately. And I still get some of the experience from the collateral. Petty victory? Maybe. But it did feel amazing. Right after that, the ship starts falling apart, so I switch to Lysel and have her quickly hit the release. And that's how it begins. I crash land into Faerun, with a flaming sword that I wasn't supposed to have yet, a brainworm squatting in my skull, and 0 experience from the biggest boss on the ship. But hey, Lysel got her blade, and I got my revenge. That's a win in my book. So after surviving a crash that probably should have liquefied my bones, I wake up face down in the sand. The ship's gone, there's blood on the rocks, and the sky looks like it's trying to remember what colour it's supposed to be. Welcome to the wilderness of Faerun. No intro town, no friendly NPC saying, hey adventurer, want to learn about potions? Nah, just, hey, there's a cave full of bandits and a vampire spawn who may or may not be trying to eat you. Good luck. Let's walk through the early game journey because that's part of Baldur's Gate 3. Because this part of Baldur's Gate 3 is where the world opens up and every decision starts stacking. So before I even get to a town, I start tripping over new party members left and right. So obviously find Shadowheart on the floor. I have her come with me because she is my absolute favourite companion in Baldur's Gate 3. Then me and Shadowheart get into a bit of entanglement with 3 of those weird brain things. We make very short work of them, kill them, loot the crap out of everything, and then we meet Astarion. Crawling out of the shadows like Dracula's hungover nephew, and almost immediately, he tries to stab me. Not exactly a warm welcome, but hey, he's pretty cool, wears nice boots, and turns out to be a rogue with a sneak attack and a taste for blood. So, into the party he goes. Just don't camp near him without garlic. Then there's Gale, the smooth-talking wizard who literally phases through a portal. Kind of. His hand is stuck out of a portal, and I decide to give him a nice high five. After I yank him out, I'm like, finally, a normal, well-adjusted spellcaster. Then he casually mentions that if we don't find a cure for this mind flayer tadpole swimming in our head, we will be turning into mind flayers. Great. You know, standard wizard stuff. And then we go and find Lizelle. She is unfortunately trapped in a cage by two random tieflings. How the hell they got her in that cage, I have no idea. But we use some deception to make the tieflings decide to run away, allowing us to then safely get Lizelle out of the cage. We swap Lizelle out for Gale, and that is our full team for the moment. What's brilliant is how rich the dialogue is even this early in the game. So obviously Shadowheart hates Lizelle. Astarion flirts with everyone, but also wants to eat us. And Gale will explain magical lore, like it's a bedtime reading. It all feels organic, no exposition dumps, just real personalities colliding in a pressure cooker. After gathering the gang, I head down to the abandoned ruins, an old crypt surrounded by shattered statues and strange religion. Except the bandits are there. Or they might be bandits, I don't know, they could be treasure hunters. I didn't stick around long enough to find out. Either way, they're loitering outside the entrance, arguing about loot, and obviously waiting to jump anyone who comes too close. Now, I could have gone in loud, but instead I got creative. I sneak up to the ledge, overlooking them, notice a giant loose stone, and I get this idea. One quick fire of my arrow, and boom. Crushed two of them instantly. Combat started, but with half of them gone, we cleaned up quite fast. I had Astarion do a nice sneak attack on one of the people, and then push him off the ledge. Or he would have if he didn't fail his roll. It's moments like these that make Baldur's Gate 3 shine. Environmental kills feel rewarding, and even the smallest encounter can even become a puzzle. Inside the ruins, things go from bandit trouble to this is clearly cursed. We're talking about ancient tombs, religious iconography, and traps on every wall. This place is massive. It's a winding puzzle box, and it starts to give off Jergal vibes quick. The Lord of the End of Everything, aka the God of Death, Dust, and serious goth energy. First encounter inside is more bandits. This time they are laying in wait to ambush us. It's a tight fight with low visibility, so I do try to kite them through into the room that we are now, with Lizelle and Shadowheart up front drawing the aggro, while Astarion tries to hit them off with his bow. It feels tactical, dangerous, and every movement matters. And a well-placed firebolt completely blows them out of the water. Then I find this fancy-looking sarcophagus, clearly meant to tempt some greedy players. So of course, I open it. Boom, trap goes off. Fireballs shoot out. And then fire erupts, and everyone within 10 feet is doing the panic shuffle. However, I placed a pot on the floor because I knew where the oil would be, and we were all good on that front. No explosions for us. Lesson learnt though. Check for traps. Always. Or don't, just enjoy the fireworks. At the deepest part of the ruins, we hit the big one. A full-blown undead encounter at the Shrine of Jergal. Skeletons everywhere. Enemies spawning from just dead priests on the floor. And it's a real test of early game positioning. So this is how it went down. So I had Lizelle completely bull rush the main tank skeleton. I had Astarion sneaking, which failed miserably because I was trying to get off a sneak attack, and he was seen. I then had myself and Shadowheart trying to keep up the buffs, and then using our cantrips from afar. We did barely scrape through, but in the end, the crypt was ours. And the reward? Gold. Sure. A few scrolls, some really cool soul coins, some neat magical items, And more importantly, lore drops about Jergal, death cults, and the fact that this world is much older and darker than it looks. Plus also we've got our own skeletal mascot now, as the Withers decides to join us at our camp, which I'm 99% sure Withers is Jergal. And through it all, the game keeps reminding you about the parasite in your head. So as we go to rest the camp, Lizelle scolds us for needing a rest. I mean, she needed a rest too. And then we go to sleep after speaking with the rest of the companions. We do feel like we're getting stronger, but something inside is watching us. So by the time I left the crypt, we had a full party of lovable degenerates, a new appreciation for rock-based combat, and a very growing suspicion that something ancient is manipulating behind the scenes. Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't want to be epic, it just is, from the jump. So let's bring it back to where we started. Did Larian really save the fate of RPGs? It's a bold question, I know, but after hours of mind flayers, cursed tombs, companions, and actual emotional depth, and decisions that actually stick, I think we're allowed to ask it seriously now. So let me explain. Before Baldur's Gate 3, RPGs, especially party-based, turn-based CRPGs, were in a weird spot. We had amazing narrative indies like Disco Elysium, huge open world like Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, sorta, and of course Divinity Original Sin 2, also by Larian, which was amazing, but still a bit niche outside of the hardcore fans. But the true RPG classics, the ones where you build a party, make a mess, argue with a talking skull, die to a trap, reload, charm your way through a boss fight, seduce a vampire, betray your god, and still end up the hero, they were kinda missing. Studios weren't making them, publishers said they didn't sell. And players? Well, we're still here, waiting, scrolling through menus in Skyrim, wondering where the choices actually went. Larian didn't just make a great RPG. They rebuilt what modern RPGs could be. It's storytelling through gameplay. And more than that, Larian did it with confidence. No microtransactions, no unfinished systems, no live service caveats, still getting updated to this day. They launched it complete, fully voiced, deep, weird, beautiful, and unapologetically nerdy. So, did they save it? Yeah, I think they did. They reminded the industry and the audience that there's still a hunger for deep, weird, tactical, beautiful RPGs. Ones that challenge you, reward you, and respect your time. Baldur's Gate 3 isn't perfect, but it is a landmark. And not just for old school RPG fans like myself. It set the new bar for what the genre can be in the modern age. It didn't just save RPGs. It gave the rest of the genre permission to be great again. So that's just the first chapter of my journey through Baldur's Gate 3, a half-elf cleric with dreams of becoming a blade-singing spell dancer, a team made up of liars, gods, monsters, and people trying to find inner peace. And a world that doesn't just let you play, it reacts. And if this is just the beginning, I can't wait to show you what comes next. So if you want deep dives, chaotic playthroughs, and moments where dice gods either bless or betray me, then please go ahead and subscribe. Seriously, we're just getting started. The rest of Act 1 and most likely Act 2 is going to break me in all the best ways. And if this video helped you see Baldur's Gate 3 in a new light, or just gave you a laugh, a like helps more than you know. So next time, I'm going to try and dual cast into a Bladesinger and immediately forget how concentration works. It goes exactly as you'd expect. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. Bye.